only. So yeah, all those subjects have to be like only DSA has to be focused. But some people I've heard, they because they're completely focusing on DSA, they leave the CS fundamental subjects. Yeah, so don't do that. Focus on the other subjects also. OOPS is really important as far as PayPal is concerned, because I've seen many interviews asking questions from OOPS. So don't neglect DBMS, OOPS.
You all are doing well. Welcome back to Entrance and Beyond. Today I have Sanya Dudeja with me. And to introduce Sanya a bit, she's going to be an upcoming SDE1 at PayPal in July once her college ends. She's done an internship at PayPal recently and currently is doing a remote internship at NYX. Apart from that, she studies at MUJ, that is Manipal University, Jaipur. Academically, she's also doing really good because she's been in the Dean list a couple of times. Apart from that, she recently published a patent related to transformers. We'll go into those details a bit later on in our podcast. And yeah, she has volunteered in multiple places. She's an ambassador for Web3 Conference India, and she's a mentor on topmate.io. So you can connect with her down over there. I think she's in the top 5 or top 1% at Topmate. So yeah, that is just an introduction for Sanya. So if you're someone that's really keen on doing a good internship at a company like PayPal or any other big company, I think this podcast is meant for you. And we're really going to dive into the entire process, break things down for you. So it's really easy for you, and hopefully some people can actually crack such internships after watching this video. So thank you so much, Sanya, first of all, for coming to my podcast. So this was an academic introduction and all of that. But before actually diving into the podcast, I'd like to know a bit about your background and looking back at your journey. Did you ever think that you would come so far at such an early or young age?
To be honest, obviously everything's uncertain these days. Like you never plan everything what's going to happen. But yeah, I would say that I did start early because like I got to know about the opportunities well beforehand. So that was something that I would like appreciate. Obviously, my college and my seniors, and like I used to get in touch with people who were like my like-minded people. So that happened very nicely for me, touchwood. And obviously, like I made short-term plans. Slowly, steadily, I took slower like small steps and kept on focusing on things and didn't miss out on opportunities. Like most of them tried to grab and make the most of the ones that I got to know about. So yeah, I would say that I'm really grateful and I'm happy that I came so far, and a lot more has to be done now. So yeah.
And that's pretty cool now. You're in a podcast yourself and you've done many such.
Yeah, yeah. So once I was listening to people, now I am telling to people. So I hope, like, the way I gained opportunities and knowledge from people. So I hope that, from this podcast of ours, so I believe that, many people will be able to, learn. And it's not something like, just a simple, like people say gyan, not like that. So I just really want people to hear and learn, like they could also do the same things, and hopefully I'll be great to see people's messages like we have also landed up an internship at the big MNC, so that will be a great achievement for me.
Yeah. And
Yes.
that's also like the motto of our podcast as well. We're looking forward to
Yes.
seeing
Right.
people.
Right.
So, Sanya, you mentioned that you started off early. So, I think you probably started off in your first year, right? So, yeah, I'd love to know how you actually started actually coding and how did you
Right.
into this tech world?
Mhm. Okay, so basically, if I have to mention coding specifically, because that is the most important thing for us in the tech world right now. So I was like, I have been a person who is always, keen to do something with computers, and I like, exploring things, like getting my hands dirty. So I had IP as a subject in my class 12th. So
Oh,
it's a like you have CS, computer science, and
yeah.
there's also IP, that is known as informatics practices. So CS is a broader subject. IP is somewhat like it's easier, but it's a sub part. So you can say if CS is like entire 100%, so IP is somewhere one third of it. So like I had PCM, obviously, like physics, chemistry, math. So I took IP because I wanted to do something on computers, but I was not very sure like computer science only. And I was like, okay, PCM is already a little heavy, so let's have a little
Yeah.
lighter subject wherein I can indulge in computers also, and I can score good also. So my coding journey actually started in class 12th only, not in college. So
Okay.
under IIP, I had the opportunity to learn Python and MySQL, the basics in school, and I also, gave the class 12th exam for both, like that subject.
Yeah.
So it started there. So I, kind of gained interest. I was learning new things. I started coding, like the basics concepts of Python and MySQL, getting, used to and exploring database and all. So when I landed up at Manipal in the first year. So obviously first year is mostly, it's not coding based. Like the curriculum is in such a way that it's physics chemistry cycles for most of the colleges in
Yeah.
India.
Yeah.
So you'll
Mm.
just mostly cover up whatever's been taught to you in class 12. So side by side, what I used to do is like in the second semester of my first year, so they introduced us to a subject known as C, which is mostly the
Yeah.
like very common in most of
Yeah.
the colleges these days. So since I had a concept of like I knew Python, so doing C was something like I knew the concepts, most of his lists and
Yeah.
all. Like obviously the syntax is different, but the coding language is something which is not very, it was not very like I was not hearing jargons. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like I was getting familiar to it, so I was enjoying it. So yeah, I started my C journey. Like I was learning C in college, and since I knew Python, so I used to keep on, building some things
Yeah.
related to Python. So yeah, I started with C, and mostly I was mostly focusing on the like the academics part in the first year, mostly not the DSA part. In the second year end, like by the end of the second year, sorry, by the end of the second semester of my first year, so I started connecting with few of my seniors. So in Manipal, I had some of my seniors from my school itself.
Okay. That's
So yeah, so that yeah, I was like a little lucky there because initially when we land up in college, so it's a little difficult to connect with
yeah.
everyone. But I connected with my seniors who were already who were in the CSE, in like the computer science engineering only. Mine was specialization in AML, but mostly the subjects and all were same.
Yeah.
So I talked to them. I asked them like, how do you like how are you all doing these days, and what's the trend here, how it is. So they told me like like you since you have that background of coding and you was doing C in the first year, so start with start getting like get explore DSA a little bit. Start with it in the second year only, so that it will be easier for you to grasp it slowly and steadily. So first year and second year starting somewhere in between that period, I started with like the C++ like yeah, I started with C++ because C is something which is just for us to get used to the coding environment. But
Yeah.
when I talk to them about like what language is preferred when we have to go for interviews or something, because this was something they told me, like you'll have placements, you'll have internships. So this was told to me, like they told me in a blind normal way, like a casual senior junior conversation. So it was something they told me like third year may you might start having on campus internships might come, off campus internships might be there. So a little like not a detailed timeline, but somewhere in my mind I had, okay, so second year I have to be prepared somewhat by the end of it, so the third year onwards I can start applying and all. So, second year I started with C++. Like they told me you can go with Java or C++. These are the two. Like Python is also good these days, but C++ Java was recommended to me. So I was like, okay, C is something which I'm doing. So switching to C++ was not an issue. So I switched to C++. I started with that, and the college also in the second year the DSA subject was introduced to us. So I started following few playlists. Like I started with following Code with Harry, Love
Yeah.
Bubber, Apna College. Yeah, these are the great playlists these days. So yeah, then I got to know about Strivers. Take You Forward
Yeah.
is
Take.
the channel. Yeah,
Yeah.
so Strivers, say cheat sheet and all. So I started with that. I used to keep this in mind, like okay, like every day or maybe every 2 days I do at least 2 to 3 questions. So I started following it. I made it a habit kind of a thing. Like obviously the routine was not very flexible. Like it was not easy, feasible for me to follow it every day, because also
Yeah.
second year I've just started, and it's just like college is also new, so just enjoying and all. Also like I was having good chats with my friends as well. But yeah, I made a plan, somewhat kind of a routine, like like for me it was like weekdays I'll follow the college pattern, whatever the timetable is, because it was a little hectic for me in the second year, the college classes and all. Weekends pay I used to mostly sit and focus on my skills. So like I'll either do the coding questions, or I'll focus on some of the projects. I'll just explore few things, what all possible things are there that I can do. So mostly second year was second year holidays, also the summer break that I got there at that point of time, like
Yeah.
it was my fourth semester, yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
after my fourth semester, yeah, after my fourth semester, in before the beginning of my third year, I got to know that third year onwards, in the like when the fifth semester begins, few
Yeah.
of the companies do start coming to college on campus internships and off campus also.
Campus also.
So I got to know about the exact timeline. So I was in couple of communities like Arsh Goel ka community we have,
That's
and Shant, a few of the great YouTubers,
yeah.
yeah. So
Sure.
I got to know about the community, so I joined them. So there the updates used to come regularly, and they do come now as well. So I was aware, okay, this like around October,
Yeah.
in when my fifth semester begins.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let me prepare myself so that at least I can try to apply, try
Yeah.
to miss that opportunity, because I'd heard from many of my seniors that fourth, if you know, if you get a good internship after your third year only, then getting that PPO is a little easier, and your fourth year is something that you can really enjoy. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, let's give it a try. So for that, prepared myself in the like in the second year summer break. So when I went home after my fourth semester, so in that 3 month gap before my fifth year began, I prepared myself. I connected with them. They told me that prepare your resume. So at that point of time, I didn't have any internship or like any. So I talked to them. So I did few of the training and internship programs related to my domain. So mostly along with C++, I was exploring web dev, because web dev is
Web
the
content.
first domain that everyone gets introduced
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
So it's
Correct.
the trend, like you start with web dev. So along with C++, I was doing web dev. However, since my specialization is in AIML, like my degree is CSE with AIML, so somewhere, and a Python was also something which used to interest me a lot. So somewhere I had shifted from WebD in between to AIML. So during that 3 months ka break, the summer
Mm.
holidays, so I started with few of the training and internship programs. I'd connected with my seniors, and they told me like, this one's good, you can go ahead with it. And those training and internship programs are somewhere, they're kind of virtual internships. So they
Yeah.
said it's okay to have them in your resume. So that is also fine. If in like having a particular internship, proper internship, something that really your resume really stands out, but
Yeah.
it's still okay if you do virtual internships. So I talked to them. I tried to do two virtual internships. In the one was in the AML domain, and the other was in the data science domain, since they are
Yeah.
mostly interconnected. So I
Yeah.
was
Correct.
exploring this. Yeah. So apart from that, I was also exploring some YouTube playlists. So a few of them, if I have to cite, is like for Python and AML mostly for these domains. It's like Code Basics, Campus X, and Krishna X. So I follow these.
Mm.
So I was following these playlists, and I also got to know about Andrew Ng's deeplearning.ai, the
Mm.
Coursera course. Yeah. So all of those things. So I started making a habit, like, okay, I am doing those virtual internships. So I was doing them mostly because those internships are not like I was initially given a project. It was like you are given access to an LMS portal. So you have to follow the week wise videos. Just
Yeah.
keep on completing the modules, and then in the end you also do a project. So I always like something of this kind only, because initially there were a couple of YouTube playlists. So I was getting very confused, like what to follow and what not to.
Yeah.
And for me, like LMS is something like, then when I have a target, like, okay, this week I have to complete these many modules. So it becomes a little easier for me so that I can track my progress.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was doing C++ from Love Bubbers, Drivers, and all like different. I used to switch a
Mm.
little bit between the videos and all. So I was following that. I made it a habit that, every day at least two questions I have to do before I sleep. And apart from that, I was focusing on how do I build my resume. So I was trying to follow those virtual internships, a little few of the projects like from these playlists, and the virtual internship project that they gave. So this was happening for me. Then I tried to build my resume. I connected with few of my friends, like slowly steadily I'm getting to know the ML concepts. I'm deeping dive, like after ML I tried to deep dive into deep learning. So one thing which I feel is good that people should really follow is you should at least give it a try. So
Yeah.
where people they feel like, no, we don't know this much
And
and that much. Yeah, give it a try. Sometimes it just happens, like, I was also not very very prepared at that moment, but I
yeah.
told my friend, okay, that I also want to apply for that internship. So if you could,
Yeah.
uh share me the link. And also he shared me the link. I had an interview with them before my fifth semester, like my fifth semester just started, I think, when I gave my interview for that. So they
Correct.
discussed my projects, they discussed my resume, like what you have been doing till now. So I told them these virtual internships, few of my projects which I had made, which were like not very, very advanced level projects, but I would say they were not too basic also, so intermediate level projects.
And that's
So
something important, like you mentioned, the preparation part, because a lot of people they don't feel like they're prepared
yes,
in the end of fourth year,
yes, yes,
and also the thing that
yeah.
you mentioned about projects that they weren't basic, but I think you can't expect something really like big from
Yeah,
an
right, right.
in the
Because
third year,
second year
right?
is just ended, so just entering into the, yeah. So it
Yeah,
was like something I was just getting, getting my hands dirty. I was just connecting to people. I was just, yeah. I
mm,
also taking validation from my seniors also is something which really is good.
yeah,
And and your peers are also somewhere like that. So I had a group like my friends, a little like you, where I'm going. Like, my friends in college were like I had different groups. So
yeah,
like that professional group is something different, like in my
yeah,
class where and we can talk about domains and all what is
yeah,
happening.
yeah,
Then obviously that gala time with friends is little. So that way is important. You need to you have to interact. Networking is something which is very very important because then only you need, gain things. Really interact. You need to attend those sessions and workshops which we used to have in our college. Which used to like I generally obviously did not used to attend all, but like somewhere I used to sit for a couple like half an hour also sitting, so just hearing what's going on. So that is important. You need to be you need to keep yourself up with the trend that is there. So mostly couple of those things I gave that interview. It was mostly they discussed my resume and my projects.
yeah,
Obviously resume was not very great at that point of time, but it was a pretty decent. It was not like also like very basic. So since I was preparing slowly steadily, the resume also started building.
started building.
So then I got that internship. It was like a remote internship only because I was in my fifth semester, so I couldn't obviously go on site. Like the
Yeah,
college doesn't allow to do an on-site internship at that point of time. So it was mostly kind of a learning internship, if I would want
yeah,
to say.
yeah, mm,
Startup which was in AML, and that startup was also initially they had just like they were building their startup, so it was at the building stage. So they were like, if you can
mm,
join in, you can pitch in your ideas. It was mostly a learning curve for me, I have to say, but
yeah.
learning curve. But then again, it was a real world startup,
Real
so it was
world.
something that yeah, so I'm getting you now. When I was building my projects, was not really, really something. I'm getting used to the real world things. So here I was actually, getting to know, okay, what kind of if they have to really build a product which later on might come up as a genuine product in
Yeah,
the
mm,
world. I applied to PayPal in the fifth semester itself, or I think around November. I think mid October or November. I don't remember the exact timeline, but yeah, I think mid October or November, I got to know about the PayPal opportunity. Actually, our college during that period, they generally send mails on our Outlook. So,
yeah,
be it an on campus or an off campus, they'd send mails to our email ID. Like, on campus internships, so obviously they'll send. Off
okay,
campus, they send us the timelines and all. Like, this company is hiring, so this is the timeline you should apply. So that was good for me. PayPal didn't come to our campus. Like, it was not an on campus. It was off
okay,
campus only. It was something we call it pool campus in our college. It is
okay,
something that you apply off campus completely, but
yeah,
when you do get the internship in the end, so they'll communicate to your placement department,
it comes in, yeah,
and then you'll get the mail from them. So it
okay,
is something, yeah. So on campus, like people on campus is something the companies do come to the college, and the college take the test, like the college conducts the
yeah,
test and all. So it was not like that for us. I applied to PayPal. I like the process will we'll cover it in the maybe the next questions.
yeah,
So yeah, so I applied, and then finally, like I after a couple of rounds, I cleared it. So the fourth year tension was not there with me. So
yeah.
so yeah, so this was a kind of my journey.
So it's really important to actually get an internship before fourth year, just so that you have that peace of mind. Ki I have some sort of backup. Even if you don't get the PPO, having a good
Yes,
internship, you're
yes.
going to learn something at the end of the day. Because I don't think getting a PPO is something that everyone gets. But at least you
Mm.
get good experience, and in the back of the mind, you have some sort of
And
backup.
even if you apply in the fourth year, like if you don't get the PPO, then also that work experience matters a
Uh,
lot.
yeah, it's
So
gonna
that
help.
really your resume really stands out of the crowd. So there are high chances of your resume getting shortlisted,
Yeah,
and you land up, you crack a good
um,
company. So I would not suggest, like I would not say like if you don't get an internship in the third year, then you are genuinely at some loss. That is
yeah,
not the thing.
Yeah.
you're really, I would say, if you're really good with your skills, if you're really, you have planned your things up, and you are giving everything a try, and you are focused, and you are generally building a resume, because resume is the one piece of page which is our identity in this tech world.
Correct.
I'll blind. It's your,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
So
correct.
like I have a couple of my friends, they did not get the third year internship, but still they did not leave their routine. So they kept on making projects, they kept on building themselves. So when they applied in the fourth year for the in the placement season, so they generally got good company. So it's like, if you keep up your if you keep up with your routine, if you keep up building yourself, if you keep up with the pace, so I don't think so you will definitely, sooner or later, you will definitely crack
Yeah.
whatever you want, and you'll definitely be able to, not exactly crack, but you will definitely be able to achieve your goals.
Yeah, you'll be in a
So
good place. It's sort of like even like sports. Different
exactly.
people enter the field at different stages. As long as you're working hard, like even if you get an internship and you don't work hard after that, or you don't adapt, you're gonna get out of the market. So that's not a thing. But it's cool if you get an internship. It's worth actually trying. And even if you
I
don't,
would say that
you're gonna-
consistency is the main thing which is
yeah,
important.
yeah,
Consistency and dedication is something that you'll have times, where you'll feel sad that I've been rejected. It has happened with me also. I applied
yeah,
when I applied in the third year in the fifth semester. So I was somewhere like for the on campus opportunities. So I
yeah,
somewhere my resume was getting shortlisted, but in the first round I was not able to clear, or
yeah.
maybe in the last, it has happened with me a couple of times that in the last round, that is the HR, where
Mm.
everyone feels like HR is something which will
Take
crack
like
it, like उसमें
just
क्या
like
ही है, like,
uh,
yeah. But it has happened with me because it was my, it was like some initial couple of interviews that I was giving. So I was not very, very prepared, like what actually to
yeah.
say in interview,
Mm.
not like how to be very crisp and clear. So I didn't miss out on those opportunities. But somewhere or the like, I had those low points as well in my
I
during
think
my time
yeah.
to feel sad. Yeah, everyone has.
To
But
come.
still, I used to, restart again and be consistent.
Yeah.
Okay, because somewhere I knew like I'll have to do it. I'll do it. I, I don't want to give up so early. So that is something you need to have. Push yourself. Keep pushing yourself.
Yeah.
Then yeah.
Yeah. So, Sanna, you talked about the networking and sort of collaborating with people. I think you emphasize that a lot. And it's also really important because nowadays I think college doesn't matter to a certain extent. You can just say that maybe a better college gives some better opportunities. But if you're actually working hard, there are a lot of platforms. There's TopMate, there's LinkedIn. So you can connect with a whole bunch of people. It's not something that's restricted to maybe the college that you're going to. So yeah, is there any tips that you have for reaching out to people and sort of getting into good communities, making a good professional friend circle at your college or things like that? Because that is something really important. Because if you're not really active, you might miss a couple of opportunities, even if you have potentially the talent to actually crack an internship. But if you're not up to date, maybe with the timeline of the internships, as you mentioned, or what is expected, I think you can lag behind. So yeah, any sort of advice regarding the networking part and how one can actually grow the network and do something?
See, mostly LinkedIn, I would say everyone should genuinely connect with people on LinkedIn, because it is meant for your professional activities,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So there you will you connect with people from different sorts of domains, different sorts of places. So that is the place where I feel that platform is something that you have to, really be good at, or maybe you need to build your profile. You need to, send like make connections. So I've seen people, like there are a couple of my friends only, like they say we don't have a good profile right now, so how can we send a,
Hmm.
connection request to
Connection.
someone?
Yeah,
It's not, there's no barrier at all. You just send connection request. If you send connection request to around 50 people, I'm pretty sure like one third of them will genuinely accept.
really makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. It is not like you, because LinkedIn is something, it's a platform wherein you keep building your profile. Every day you keep, whatever you do, you add it, like what like your projects, your achievements, your posts, whatever it is in the related to the tech world. So do send connections, like connect with people, see like see posts of different people. So posting is also really important, so that you get like whatever, even if you have got a certificate of some course that you've done, post about it. Everything does not have to be posted. Like there are certain
Yeah.
rules that 10 to 15 points that you have to keep in mind when you're using LinkedIn. But still try to post, because for example, if I am on LinkedIn and you and I are not connected, but
Yeah.
you see my post somewhere, and I'm sure that you might have seen that, and I also looked at your the channel at somewhere. So posting is also really important, because you nobody knows you, so they don't know that they go to your account and then they'll send you a request. So some, like, this recommendation engine is in such a way ki somewhere or the other, that post might land up at your LinkedIn page, and then
Yeah.
you can see it. Okay, this person is doing so and so things, and then you can see, okay, you can relate that with your skills, and you can send a connection request, and might as well that person might also. And when you generally have a conversation, if while messaging, you
Yeah.
might realize that that person was also a little hesitant. So everyone is at the same page. It's relaxed. You have to be really calm. Just keep on sending requests. Also, one thing, like, be a part of the communities. Now I've heard from many people also how to be part of the tech communities. For that, I would say that do follow the great YouTubers that we have these days.
Yeah.
Like Arj Goel is there,
Yeah. Yeah.
Sancha. So they do mention their communities, and you can generally follow those Telegram channels, those WhatsApp channels. And apart from that, again, Topmate is something which I'm also using these days. I'm also
Yeah.
connecting with people, helping them, and I also connected with great people on Topnet as well. So be a little, first thing, you have to be really keen about things. You have to keep on exploring,
Yeah.
and generally connecting with your peers is important. Also, do attend a few of the sessions if really your college does offer good sessions. So do
Yeah.
connect with them, because you can get to meet like-minded people.
Yeah.
Second thing, try to be a part of hackathons. That is also another thing which
Yeah.
helps you connect and network with people. So,
Right.
like, don't come with this mindset, no, I will not win this hackathon. What
Yeah.
will I, gain?
I don't know any.
I Yeah, so when I also did my first hackathon in college, I was also very chill. I didn't know anything. My senior said, just come, just have a look, just roam around and see what's happening. So I generally made great connections. I connected with people. I talked to them, like, what are you preparing? What we are preparing. So it is something, you have to go into those communities. You have to attend few of the sessions, because obviously some people are good at, connecting online. They like texting and then they
Yeah.
connect.
Correct.
People, like to meet in person.
Yep.
So, for if you're a kind of person who likes to meet people in person, then do connect with people, attend those sessions, and network is your net worth. So
Correct.
that is very, I heard it from a senior at PayPal only. So I was very, motivated by this statement, that your network is your net worth. That is actually true, because the number of connections you make, the number of, people notice you, and then, you can, generally build up your skills. And for example, like both of us, so you connected with me on LinkedIn, and then I was like, okay, I'm up for a podcast, why not? So that is how, people first. The most important thing is, don't be hesitant. Just give it a try.
Right.
Just do not sit at your place and be sad about the thing that I don't have opportunities and all.
Yeah.
But there can be many colleges. I've also connected with many people that, like, our college doesn't offer a lot of opportunities. So therefore, that only Topmate is there now. Connect. So they connected with me. Now I've connected with so many people who are from different colleges. They don't know me. I'm not their senior in college, but
Right.
still through Topmate I've been able to help them.
Connect
So
with them.
try to find some way or the other, like, get your hands dirty. Don't sit and feel sad about things. Just keep on trying, so that you genuinely get into a group where that can help you, and don't feel like, I don't have a good profile, I'm at a very low, I'm in the first year, maybe how can I connect with the
How
fourth
can
year
I get
senior?
it? Yeah.
Not like that. Just give it a try. What else will happen? Some people might not reply to you, right? But
That-
try sending messages to at least 50, so you have a higher possibility to get responses from a couple of them. So
Yeah.
I followed this approach, and
Yeah.
this works most of the times.
And you can even cold DM on LinkedIn. That's a cool feature because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people. Like there's no such foundation with
Hmm.
the number of people that you can connect to, and there's a lot of people from which you can actually learn things. There's a lot of posts that you might have
Cold
someone.
emails is also something which is in
Yeah.
trend these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I was applying initially, so I used to use a couple of extensions which I
Yeah.
got to know from that. Sales QL is an extension which you can use in LinkedIn, and then you can get access to the work emails or that email of that person as well. So
Correct.
couple of times those emails might be incorrect also, but most like majority of them are
Um,
not that incorrect as well. So because not everybody does reveal their emails or phone numbers on LinkedIn under the contact info. So
yeah.
you can do that as well. You can, because LinkedIn DMs are also becoming obsolete these days, because
Yeah,
it's difficult to,
with that.
yeah, it's difficult
Ship-
to check the LinkedIn
Yeah.
DM. Yeah, yeah. So you can use that those extensions, and you can send an email, because
That's what.
Gmail may be for people. Yeah, so that is also that is also one thing that you can do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can't be shy. Like you can connect with people. There might be people building similar projects as you, and then through your
Right.
connections, you
Right.
might find some other connection. That is what happens has happened with me with some podcasts. Like I did this podcast with this girl from Pune, and then like
Okay.
she has a couple of friends that got a good placement. So she's like, you can do a
Yeah.
podcast with them. So then it's like
Yeah.
reaching to a ton of people.
Yeah.
Get their
Like you
WhatsApp.
help one and then you help the
Yeah.
rest. So
Yeah.
right.
You should
That's
also, I think
that's
you should also help because a lot of people think of that competitive sort of environment where they're not really keen on collaborating. They're more so focused on to what I'm gaining from someone. And I think in the current days, that wouldn't really be the best way to actually do things because it's a two-way relationship. You can't expect someone to actually give
right.
you thing and you're just sort of
Absolutely.
using them. And then once you're done with your thing, you can just, you
Like
can
best way,
dump them.
is
Susanna, you mentioned that you got to know about the opportunity slightly early due to your seniors, and it was basically it wasn't a off campus and it wasn't on campus. It was this school sort of internship that you talked about.
yeah,
So
mostly you could call
yeah,
it off campus only. Like in the terms of on and off, it will be off
it will
campus
be off
only.
campus. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted you to talk about the different rounds because generally there's the way round, then there are technical rounds, and then technical plus HR combined in some places, and in some places it's basically your HR round. And before all of this, there's definitely the resume shortlisting part. So before going into like the entire interview and all that, uh, I wanted you to talk about the resume shortlisting part because there's a lot of folks whose resumes don't get shortlisted. You've talked a bit about your resume building prior as well,
Mm,
basically talking
mm,
about your projects and all that. But is there some
mm.
specific sort of tip or advice that you have regarding resume building? So as to say what to put on your resume, how to structure it, and overall how you can actually develop good projects and make your resumes stand out.
Right. So first and foremost thing, like resume has to be of one page and it has to be made on Overleaf. So Overleaf is a website wherein you can make resume in the latex format. So that is the resume kind of resume that is accepted in any industry, like wherever you apply. In fact, like for startups and all, and for any internship that you apply,
Yeah.
I would recommend that follow that latex format only. So Overleaf, if you go into it, there are a couple of templates there, like templates of people who have uploaded their resume. So you
Yeah.
can just follow that template, and it's just like kind of an editing thing. Like you have the template there itself, so you can edit few of the
Yeah.
things. You can remove their name. You can put it just normal editing and all that you can do. You can just yeah. So that is the first thing that has to be kept in mind. Secondly, now how to find the good templates, because not all templates are good, right?
Yeah.
So I would I would recommend few of the templates. Like there's one template which I personally used. It is by the name of, I think, Anubhav Singh. I will
Okay.
share the link with you as well later on, and I'm hope that I'm spelling the name
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
And one sorry, one template, like couple of more templates, like Jake's resume is there, which is
Yeah.
very popular.
I can understand.
And yeah, Jake's resume is there, like is popular. And one is, I think, DDCV, which I think that is the one which my friend used when she applied to Microsoft. So few of the templates are really good. Like, in fact, I in my the short guide that I've uploaded in my document, so I have included all those things as well. So if someone wants to
Yeah, I'll
really
attach
refer to
the
it,
link after the
yeah,
over.
yeah, you can attach the link, and yeah, they can refer to it there as well. So template is important, and you need to follow proper template so that you can incorporate majority of things, because fitting everything in that one page is a little difficult also. At the same time, it is easier also if you find a good template to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so for me, I would recommend, like, there's a particular flow that has to be maintained in the resume. So if you really have something to add in your experience section, which most of the people when they're applying for the internship in the third year, they don't have that experience section, because obviously it's the first, it's for most of them, it's the first experience that you're going to apply for,
Yeah.
right? So if even if you have done some virtual internships, which I did, and if even if you have done some and paid internship, it doesn't matter, it should be an internship irrespective of whether it was paid or not. So you can definitely put that if you have that. Apart from that, if you have some, open source contributions,
Yeah.
so you can also create a separate section. I would not recommend to put under experience, because experience is mostly if you have worked in an organization, if you worked in a company, that is
Correct.
something. Yeah, so like for me also, in my current resume, I've added a separate section for open source, and I've added it, so that is also recognized. Apart from that, if you have been a part of hackathon, so do put it in on a separate section, like your achievements or awards and
Yeah.
certifications. There you
Yeah.
can put that. And projects is the most important sections are obviously your experience, but if you don't have one, then your projects. So
Yeah.
the first section that the interviewer will look at, or the maybe when the resume screening is happening after the year or before the year, so they particularly look at your project section and what is your skill set. So those projects, I would say like 2 to 3 minimum. I would say if you have a couple of things more in your resume, like experience and all, so still I would recommend minimum 3 good projects, like out of all that you have done till now,
Right.
minimum 3. So experience also, recent 2 experiences, and projects like 3 projects are more than enough. No need to put a lot of things, because your resume should not look very clustered.
Yeah.
It should be look like you are selling your, maybe you are telling the interviewer your key USPs, that these are the key things, like the top things of for under every section that I've done. So
Yeah.
for projects, like definitely YouTube is a good platform to follow whatever domain you're pursuing. But still, I would also advise, like there's some novelty which the recruiter is looking for.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
novelty is like I also used to follow, like when I was doing those virtual internships, I was learning to how to make projects. Like I was also following those playlists which I mentioned earlier. But still, if you're following a particular playlist for a project, initially try to do the same what has been told in the video or the playlist that you're following. Initially do the same, but then you cannot directly copy paste and then put it as your project. That is not the right approach. What you have to do, then go and explore GitHub repositories. That is one thing which I would recommend. Look for GitHub repositories that are similar to the project that you're doing. There you will see different repositories of different peoples. So there you can try to incorporate different features from different repositories. And in this world of AI, chat GPT,
Yeah. Yeah.
copilot, everything
For
there, so
idea.
you can
Yeah.
yeah, you can write it up, give a good prompt, like this is the project that I have prepared. Now I need to add few features from my end. That is the approach that I used to follow, and I
Yeah.
follow
Mm.
now also. But when I'm seeing a playlist, I'll try to follow along, but then I'll add it, give it my own touch. So I'll add novelty, which is that one thing, or like 10% like new features that you have added from your end. So there also, when you're giving the interview, it's a good way to pitch in also, that I have made this project, when there's a project discussion, and this is the reference that I like, this is the source where I from which I have referred, or the playlist that you have referred to, but this is the USP or the novelty or the additional thing that I have added from my end to make it look like my own project. So this
Correct.
is the way you can put across also to the interviews. It looks good. So
Yeah.
I would say the project thing is important. That section is really important. Apart from that, the links that you have to put in your resume. So all your projects, like if you are putting, like you're writing a heading, maybe some prediction system, so
Yeah.
that project should be hyperlinked. So
Yeah.
all your project headings should be hyperlinked, so that the user can, the recruiter, when they are doing the resume screening, because resume screening may you are not a part of it, you just send a resume, you don't know what is happening in the back. But
Yeah.
what I have heard is, like they can check those, like they can click on those hyperlinks, the links that you attach, and those hyperlinks should be linked to your GitHub repositories.
No. Yeah.
So that is that is the way that you have to maintain all your things should be in GitHub, so that they can directly go there and check it. And on the top, your LinkedIn profile should be there, your GitHub link should be there, Apart from that, if one has a portfolio website, then you should attach that link as well, and your coding profile. If you have maintained a really good profile on any of the coding platforms, so you should attach a coding profile. So these are the key things that are really, really important. And don't put anything which you don't know, because a couple of times what happens is they'll not ask anything, like they'll not focus on whatever you know and you have mentioned in your resume. But if you have a bad luck, then sometimes they'll ask that one particular thing which 5 to 10%, not completely, partially, you have partial knowledge, but they'll ask you, what is this, why have you put it, like, what is this, what you have done with respect to this. And if you're not able to tell that particular thing, if you're not able to explain that particular thing during the interview, so it doesn't feel good, like it doesn't give a good impression. Yeah, it gives a bad impression. So put like, highlight your strengths. That is the most important thing that one should do.
And be honest with that, because with one of my guests, they
Yes,
had full
yes,
resume where they mentioned like proficient with, and then they mentioned things that they have basic knowledge of. So they clearly
yeah,
specified to the end interview that I'm
yeah,
good with these things, but I have some basic knowledge of these things. So they
yes,
honestly
yes.
mentioned whatever they have done.
Yeah,
With
yeah, do honestly mention. Yes, and most important thing, like every resume, like for any company that you're applying, be and any job profile or whatever the role is, don't just blindly send your resume.
yeah, you have to cater
So
it up.
you need to read the job description very carefully, because I've seen many people, like, it's a SD role, this so and so company, so they just blindly send their whatever resume they have. That is not the right way to do. You read the job description very carefully, and then, for example, in every job description, few of the things are highlighted, be it OOPS, be it Python, be it C++, be it
Yeah,
some specific concept. So if you have genuinely done something specific to related to that thing, so try to highlight that in your resume, so that it's easier for them to, when they're doing the screening, so that whatever things are mentioned in the job description, so those are clearly visible in your resume. So that matching between your resume and the job description is really important. Just have your template ready, and whenever you are applying, just read the job description, and if you have to tailor your resume, then do that, like few of the changes, and then send
yeah.
it to
So let's now move to the OA round. So the OA round, it's pretty much, was it full on DSA? Because in a couple of companies, they have some aptitude questions, some maybe Linux based questions if they are companies that are working with Linux. And then they have maybe computer network questions, OOPS questions.
Mhm.
What were the topics that were covered in OA round apart from DSA, or
Yeah.
was it fully DSA?
No, no, it was not fully DSA. So the OA round that happened, like Pan India for the PayPal, so SWE internship, it included one DSA question only,
Okay.
and the rest of it was all aptitude, but like aptitude and mix of CS fundamental MCQs.
Yeah.
So it was MCQ, yeah. So it was, there were they were around, I don't remember the exact count, but the one DSA question which I remember very clearly, it was something related to I think sorting technique
Yeah.
when I gave the intro. So it was not a very like the normal sorting question. It was something, some trick was involved in it. But I would say, if you've done if you're doing the lead code or any platform cheat sheet, then it was not very hard. It was like intermediate level questions. It was not that tough. And rest of it was aptitude. So that mathematical reasoning, logical reasoning questions that we do have in every test these days, and rest of it was MCQs, which was related to, then again, that CS fundamental subjects. So I think DBMS was there, and computer networks was something which was not emphasized as far as I remember right now,
Yeah.
because then it depends on the organization as well. Like for Cisco, I also appeared for the Cisco examination. Like I also give the Cisco test also. So since it is a networking company, so majority of the questions there were computer network based. But for PayPal, the DBMS questions were there also. Oops, yes, DBMS, oops. Major focus was on DBMS and OOPS when we talk about the MCQs. CN was something which there might be, I think, one to two questions maybe, but I don't remember much. But there were questions related to domains also. So there were some questions related to HTML, CSS, JavaScript as well. So WebD questions were also there. Few of them, not very advanced level, but basic to intermediate level questions. So yeah, that was the major focus. So the four major subjects. So DSA, DBMS, OS, and oops, OS was also there, right? CN and OS, like I don't remember much, but I would say like the ratio of DBMS and OOPS questions was on a higher side.
Yeah. And I think that's the case with most companies, apart from the companies that are
Yes. Yes,
specific to
yes.
make the computer
Yeah,
network.
yeah, yeah. That is how the preparing strategy is also like that. So, you should know about the company and like you should know like what the company is primarily focused on. So they'll mostly cover those things only in the
Yeah,
OA and the technical
yeah.
round as well. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
for TSA, it was mostly lead code. I think most people follow that. And guys, you can check out the previous part. And there's a lot of
Yeah,
content regarding DSA.
right.
We can cover that later on. But I wanted to talk about definitely DBMS and those core subjects. Like
Hmm.
how you can study them, because it's okay on lead code you have the MySQL 50, that is fine. But there are a lot
Hmm.
of conceptual based questions which you must
Right, right.
know. Even for some master exams like GATE and all. Those are the sort of
Hmm.
that actually have a good priority. So, is there some specific resource that you use particularly for maybe?
I used to use GFG and Interview Bit for studying those. Like for studying in detail in depth, like since college also covers these subjects, so I
Yeah,
used to focus whatever's been taught in college. Apart from that, few of the YouTube playlists like Gate Smashers and all.
yeah,
But obviously for the interview questions, the concepts from the YouTube videos because they're mostly
yeah.
academic based.
Academic.
That is really important. First, you need to
Correct.
cover that because obviously those subjects are something, they are mostly academic based only. But in the interview, when you have those MCQs, therein, you really have to choose that one option. So theoretical knowledge is important, but apart from that, for the interview preparation, I used to refer to GFG and Interview Bit. So they have those questions, like
Yeah,
MCQs and all
take them
that
up.
that could appear in your interviews. Also, like I would advise people, before you appear, like if you know that you have your interview in a couple of days or something like that, or you have your OA in a couple of days, try to connect with few of the people on LinkedIn, like who have recently joined the company or they also went through the same process, so that you can ask them also like what all kind of questions were there in your like in your interviews or in your OA. And also many people do upload on GFG only, like their past
But,
experience.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, the questions are also uploaded, so try to get those questions, try to make your own folder wherein you get questions from here and there from
yeah.
different sorts of websites, so that you can prepare your own resource and refer to PYQs. Nowadays there are various websites where PYQs are also there. Yes, yes. So try to do that. Couple of times, majority of the questions are like from there only.
Or at least it's
So
similar to the topics that are mentioned.
yeah.
But now going to the technical round or D-Day for some folks that who are really nervous, or maybe they might be going for the first interview. So it would be lovely to hear that entire story briefly. How was your experience? What sort of questions were asked? And was there a time where you might have gotten stuck at some question? And how did
Mhm.
you get out of that? And yeah,
Right. So for me, after the OA, I got an email that I've been selected to for the technical round, the first round. So the first round for me was mostly, yeah, it was DSA based, but it was not only DSA based. I had a mix of OOPS and DSA both. So it depends on the interview mostly. Like DSA will always be there. That is something that is constant. That will always be there. Few of the interviews will be only on DSA. Like I heard from my friends, they were like two questions were given to us and they told us, like use this ID, or sometimes they also give you a specific ID to code on. So
yeah,
for me, I was told to code on VS Code in front of them. Like they told me open your VS Code editor and write the main function. I don't remember the questions for now, but I think so. You can expect from topics like linked list, stack queues, and graphs and all.
yeah.
So yeah, these were the topics majorly that were covered. So yeah, mostly they'll to tell you to they'll give you a question and then they'll either tell you to write the entire code on the VS Code editor or some other editor that they have shared. Or for me, what happened? They told me to write the major like the function that will be used, not the entire code, because since that 1 hour interview has to be the time constraint is also there. So
Mm.
it depends on the interviewer mostly. Most of the interview that I have seen these days, they don't focus on, you do the entire code like from start to end. So few of them tell to just write the main function so that they can just see your concept and just try to understand, okay, whether you are good with your problem solving skills or not. So for me, I was given two questions, one in which I was told to write the entire code, the entire function in front of them. The second, the interview told me, just tell me the concept that you'll use it, because the interviewer was skilled, my interviewer was mostly skilled in OOPS, so he was more interested into OOPS as well. So like for me, it was like 60% OOPS, which is something you might be like, okay, this is a little different, because I was also like 60% will be TSA, and if the time is left, so they might cover up some other subjects. But for me, it was 60% OOPS and 40% DSA. So he wrapped up DSA very quickly,
Yeah.
and 60% was OOPS, and OOP was like he was giving me some scenarios, and he told me write it on a pen and paper and try to make classes and all, and trying to check all my concept, all the four builder pillars of OOPS that we have, all those concepts. So it was not something like, it was like direct questions were being asked, what is polymorphism, what is inheritance. It was like like he was telling me to whatever I'm giving you, just write it on a paper and then try to explain me how can explain me those concepts of classes. And interfaces was also something that was covered in my interview. I remember that. So it depends on the interview mostly. And one thing, if you get to know who is taking your interview, I didn't know that. So definitely go on LinkedIn and see the profile of that person, so that you can get to know, okay, what kind of profile the person has, so that you can get an idea, okay, what kind of questions may be asked. We have all those subjects have to be like, only DSA has to be focused. But some people I've heard, because they're completely focusing on DSA, they leave the CS fundamental subjects. Yeah, so don't do that. Focus on the other subjects also. OOPS is really important as far as PayPal is concerned, because I've seen many interviews asking questions from OOPS. So don't neglect DBMS, OOPS. OSNCN is something which I did not see interviewers asking, but still, it depends again. So just be prepared with all those concepts as well. Just don't neglect those concepts.
And I think that that is something that would set maybe interviews apart from your technical board exam sort of
Right.
mindset, where you just prefer to
Right.
your college exam thing where you can just look at the PYQs and get an idea. You have
Right.
to good with the concept, because anything
Yes,
out of
yes, you have to be good with the concepts, and generally when the interview finds, that the person knows and he or she is able to answer, but it, there are times when you get a little nervous, because that 1 hour interview you have to prove yourself. So still, if the interviews, they do try to help you also, if in case they feel that the person has that potential. But one thing foremost, try practicing how to be able to explain your concepts to others
correct.
before your interviews. Try to practice these things, because a couple of times what happens is, you are very good with your concepts, but you're not able to deliver, you're not able to explain the interviewer. That is the most important thing that you should practice before your interviews. I would say don't practice with your friends, because I don't think so it's a good idea, because friends will just make you laugh in between, and it will not be a serious environment. So try practicing. Nowadays we have so many platform, Topmate where also people are connected. Yeah, Pramp is a website which I have heard from a couple of people. Like there, you have professionals, and you can connect there, and you can have that proper demo, or that proctored. Yeah, you can have those trial before your interview. What do we call it? Like, yeah, demo, maybe
Okay.
demo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
demo.
mock kind of a preparation, so that you can do, so that you know how to deliver, because many times the interviewer is not able to understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
So you have to be very crisp and clear the way you are explaining. Yeah.
And you can also ask questions, because that is something that I've heard a lot throughout my podcast and maybe different resources that I've checked out. That
Yeah.
sure to have 100% clarity of the question, even if you have to ask a couple of doubts, because you don't want to end up solving the wrong question, because that might give a
Hmm.
sort of impression to
Hmm.
them that this person isn't the best of listeners, and he didn't
Yeah.
actually ask certain doubts that he might have had, because this isn't like your viva, or it's not like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
a
So
student.
I also did this thing. When the question was given to me again, after spending like 2-3 minutes on it, I used to I asked the interviewer, like, this is what I'm thinking. So it has to be a conversation between you and the interviewer. It should not look like that they have given you this question, and then you're sitting and just trying to solve it. So you have to make it a kind of a conversation, a two-way thing again, not a one-way thing. that they've just given you the question, you're just trying to solve it. So you have to simultaneously keep on telling the interviewer what you're thinking. So okay, like what the question, so okay, I'm going with this approach, so I'm thinking like that. So we make it a conversation, so that wherever you even if you are like going wrong somewhere, the interview might try to correct you in between.
Yeah, they,
So sometimes they do that. Yeah. So make it a conversation, because they are also looking again they're also looking at your conversation skills.
yeah.
So that is also important. Yeah.
I think a company would look into that in like a lot of detail due to the fact that maybe there's a lot of 10, 15 people might have this same skill set. They might be at the same level
Right.
technical. Your soft
Right.
skills, the way you sort of present yourself or communicate,
Mm.
that give them a good lesson as to whether you can work in a team and
Right.
whether you're
Right.
just getting an idea sort of about your compatibility with the company and their culture.
Absolutely.
And now that we've
Mm.
talked about culture, you could quickly go through the behavioral round because that is something that people usually skip the behavioral slash HR round. Because
Mhm.
even with Amazon and all that, they have their 7 pillars or principles and they sort of
Mm.
that's related to that. But
Mm.
yeah, what is maybe the biggest learning from the behavioral round that you have? And yeah,
Yeah.
maybe biggest advice regarding the HR.
Yeah. First of all, like I had given a couple of interviews before PayPal, but there for me, like after the technical round, the last round was just behavioral round. Like it was plain HR round, like kind of questioning, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Why
Yeah,
do you think you're fit for this role? But PayPal, the round was completely different, and it was something very unique. I don't know the process is same or not this year or next year. But what happened was, like after the technical round, the entire coding, oops and all, the last round was not actually the real HR round that we think it will be. It
yeah,
was like a technical discussion plus behavior round. So what happened was, there also the interview discussed with me like DSA and all. Like I was not given the questions again to code, but what happened was the interviews was giving me situations now. Like for example, you have this situation. What kind of data structure will you use? It was mostly puzzles, DSA concepts, like the basic concepts that we have in DSA, the situation based questions, and a few of your logical reasoning questions. HR was actually something which was not, you can say, like in that 1 hour interview, it was just 10 minutes conversation. Okay, I have your resume, so we have seen your projects, we can see like you have focused on these, you have this skill set, and this is your tech stack and all. And then the interview just said, okay, fine, let's like, okay, just a simple question, maybe like, okay, where are you from, and where do you plan to see yourself in the next couple of. So it was just two questions. Like it was very very like when I gave the interview, it was also very, I was also very surprised, like wasn't it supposed to be HR, but it was actually not. It was like a technical discussion mostly, like puzzles and all. And just in between also, only I think they were checking your conversation skills, and that was the HR for them, what I feel. So
okay.
here it was not a proper HR round. It was, so that, and one thing to keep in mind, the last round is also an elimination round. So all rounds are elimination round.
Yeah,
Say for PayPal, like I hope the same format is there. I'm not very sure how the format is going to be now. But the mostly for majority of the companies, the last round is that if you have really good HR, like if you have really good communication with the HR, then you are good to go. But that round was also an elimination round. It was mostly technical discussion. I wouldn't categorize it under HR. I would say technical discussion plus managerial or behavioral round. When in the questions only they're checking how your behavior is and all. So specific questions related to your HR questions, like specific questions were not being asked. For me, it was like that. I am not very sure for how was it for the
okay.
world. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, how was your experience? Just like in a couple of minutes, because a lot of people are interested in the internship experience. They're like, "We'll get free coffee,
Yeah.
and then the food and all of that is
Yeah.
good." But apart, how was your experience? Because in the end, you have the presentation with maybe some top people.
Yeah.
So, what is maybe the biggest lesson that you learned over your internship, over the 6 month period you did your internship, and you can
Yeah.
just maybe end off with the message that you have for anyone who has stayed throughout the podcast and reached the end of the podcast.
Right. So the experience was really great, and it was the first time that I had traveled to South, because I've never been to South. So it was first time, and in Chennai. So it was the place was very new to me. The culture was very new to me. So I really enjoyed learning. I was hearing the Tamil words every day, so I was enjoying the new environment also, and the team was really great. The people, they are really helpful, and they'll help you upskill yourself as well, and they'll help you in your projects, whatever projects are being given to you. It's not like it's just given to you and you have to just do it. So you keep on, yeah, you keep on consulting your mentor. You are keep on asking. You'll have couple of meetings every now and then, and in between only you'll have after, like, mid review, initial review, and that final presentation. So everything will be in a proper format. The entire university recruitment team, the entire team of HRs, they were very well sorted. So it was not like work, work, work. It was enjoyment plus work. They had planned hackathon for us. We had a lot of lunches. We had a lot of celebrations, the intern day and everything. So
Yeah.
it was really amazing. So it was like work plus fun. It some At some point of time, sometimes it would feel very hectic also. But it at the end of the day, you would be like, it would be so productive for you. Every day there will be so productive for you. You just feel that even if you're, just not using a laptop, but still talking to them, just learning about their experiences and their journey, you'll feel so happy. One thing which I learned and is really helpful is in the final presentation also, I was complimented for that thing, is the documentation thing. Whatever you do every single day, document for yourself. So there's a platform, like, there's a particular platform which is provided to us there. So there you can document everything. You can just you can make it private to yourself, and you can document, like, we write a blog and all just for ourselves. So
Mm.
from day one, document everything. Even if you've not used your laptop much today, you have just interacted with people, document everything. And obviously it's a make separate documents, I would say. One, whatever, how has your journey been so far, and second, whatever project has been given to you, keep documenting everything. And so that later on, when you have any meeting, you have any discussion, anything, so you have that document ready in front of you. So that is your first hand document, and you don't have anything to look after here and there later on. So that is the most important thing. Apart from that, I would say genuinely enjoy your, if you do generally get an opportunity to intern at PayPal, and then hopefully you get the PPO and continue there as a full time, do apply for sure. You will genuinely enjoy the experience. It will be full of amazing, exciting trips with your friends, exciting conversations, exciting team lunches. Everything will be great. Amazing work experience. In many companies, I've heard, the interns are not given so much work, and they're not really exposed to the actual code base and the actual, the things that the company is actually building. Here it will not be like that. From day one, you will be generally working on something that will be later on used by the company. So they want the interns to build the foundation for them, because obviously in that 2.53 months you cannot build the entire product. So you have to build the solid foundation, so that later on, the later on when you leave, the team can build upon it. So you have to make that foundation. So it will be really amazing. I would say keep pushing yourself, keep learning, keep exploring. Just don't stop communicating. Enjoy with your team, and leave your impression. So when you leave, everyone should know you, and not just your team. Interact with other teams as well. So that is really important. And
Yeah.
apart from that, just keep your consistency, just keep pushing yourself, be limitless. And for
Yeah.
any doubts and anything, we're always there. The channel is always there. And I'm also on LinkedIn, and my top mate is also there. So I look forward to receiving many messages from people that we have cracked internship at PayPal. Any sort of company, the environment is really great.
So thank you so much, Sana, for coming, and congratulations on becoming an
Most welcome.
upcoming HD1 at PayPal. So guys, I'll attach
Thank
all the links, and you can definitely reach out to Sana on TopMate or LinkedIn. Hopefully, you gain something from this podcast. So yeah, once again, thank you so much for coming and giving.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was really great. Thank you for having me here.